A month before the wedding, William decided to have an affair. A friend asked, "Are you serious about that little secretary? What about your feeling key?" He said casually, "I'm not willing to get married without trying other women. I'm really not reconciled. Besides, Olivia is a nice girl. She just wants the last month with me. I know that if I miss her, I'll probably regret it for the rest of my life." As for Vivian, he sneered coldly, "Isn't it much fairer to her if I cheat on her after we get married?" A month later he really came back full of joy. He said that he loved me more than he though, and would never leave me again. I was in a very difficult situation. The theory of fairness sounds good, but his brother wouldn't let me go back easily. With 45 days left until the wedding, William didn't notice that I was sitting on the sofa and the bar behind him. A friend sighed, "You two have come all the way from school uniforms to wedding dresses. And you're each other's first love. It's really not easy that you're about to get married now." William took a sip of wine casually, his voice cold and tinged with disdain. "Just because she's my first love. I find it really boring. Is this fair? I haven't even tried other women. How do I know it has to be her?" I was a bit angry, even though we had an unpleasant argument about the wedding details during the day. He shouldn't have said such angry words to vent his dissatisfaction. Julian also thought so. Don't say such harsh words. Be careful, you'll be proven wrong later." William sneered. "You all say Vivian is good and that I'll be proven wrong. But even the best thing in the world, if you've been having it for 10 years, you'll get tired of it. It's disgusting to swallow it, but it's a pity to spit out." He was a bit drunk and murmured to himself with his head down, "Now I have to have it for a lifetime. It's only human nature that I want to change my taste at the last moment, right?" My heart suddenly stopped as if it was a bad omen. Julianne fell into an eerie silence. After a long time, he said, "Brother, you're not really going to agree to your little secretary's request for the last month before the wedding. Are you break up with her? Sister-in-law will be heartbroken if she finds out." In an instant, I felt as if I had fallen into an ice cell, and my whole body went weak 2 years ago. I stated Tang Feng and William went to our newly established company TXN, and Olivia was the secretary he hired half a year ago. My last impression of her was when William said that she was a new employee with connections, and she asked him about everything, which was really annoying. How could she know she doesn't check my phone or my whereabouts? Even if I chat with Olivia in front of her, she doesn't suspect anything. Besides, what do you want me to break off? Have I even touched Olivia? Brother. Sister-in-law believes she because she loves you. Love. William swirled the wine in his glass and raised his eyebrows slightly. When I find her constant reporting annoying. She also says she loves me and that she believes me. How much sister-in-law loves you, and how much she wants to start a family with you. Everyone can see it. Yes, that's why I promised to marry he, and sacrificing my whole life to make everyone satisfied. Isn't that enough? Look around who can stay with only one person from beginning to end. Maybe even Vivian can't do it. Brother, don't you love sister-in-law anymore? This question made everyone fall silent, and I also held my breath waiting for an answer. Divon is more like my family after all these years. I can't let other men bully her. As for whether I love her or not, why are you asking such silly questions? Like a little girl like Olivia. Implicitly, he would only answer her about love or not. I blinked my sore eye, and my heart ached densely. We've known each other for 5 years and been together for 5 years. We've gone from having nothing to be worth hundreds of millions. I've loved him for 10 years. Before he sighed. I didn't need to report my whereabouts. I didn't even realize it. I just instinctively shared my life with him. I thought that love gave us the confidence to trust each other. Julian hesitated. But Brother Olivia knows you have a faint key and still clings to you. Most likely she's after your money. She's not a good person. You watch your mouth if you don't know how to respect others. Get the hell out of here. In an instant, William's voice turned cold as he defended her. Olivia is accompanying me under the pressure of the public. But she also asks me not to cheat. It's because she doesn't want Vivian to be heartbroken. Leaving aside the fact that I have a fee and key. We eat, chat, and open our hearts to each other. What's the difference between us and ordinary lovers? Why should she be blamed by you? He spared no effort in defending Olivia, and didn't notice Julian's increasingly awkward expression. Now that I'm about to get married, Olivia has finally taken a brave step. She said she'll leave and won't break up my family. She just wants this last month. Is there anything wrong with that? He said guiltily. She's a nice girl. It's my fault. It's cruel to let her watch me marry someone else with her own E. That's so unfair to her fairness. But is it fair to me? It seems so because he gave up Olivia and sacrificed his whole life for me. I'm the one who has taken all the advantages. I seemed to understand why he had become more and more irritable and busy, and why he even had to leave in the middle of trying on the wedding dress, and why the only requirement he had for the wedding was to keep it low-key. I got up in a daze and left, not wanting to hear anymore. The person who once promised to announce to the whole world that he was going to marry me was gone. Julian didn't dare to target Olivia anymore. But he still couldn't help persuading. Brother. What about sister-in-law? Ah, you almost lost her life for her back then. Have you really thought it true? And don't want her anymore? William was silent for a moment, furrowed his brows, ruffled his hair and looked annoyed and confused. I didn't say I don't want her. But if I miss Olivia like this, I'll regret it. I just want to be with the person I like. Why is it so difficult? William took a sip of wine and finally made up his mind. I'm going to follow my heart this time. I'll only be willing to be loyal to Vivia. And never betray her when I come back then, brother. What if you don't come back? No, I will. He said firmly. Even if I don't, it's better than cheating on Vivian after we get married. It's also fair to her. I stood at the door. The voices around me were so noisy, but his words clearly reached my ears. When I got home, I stayed alone for a long time. The invitation cards I designed myself were still on the table. The employees in the group were cheering because the wedding was approaching, and the stock price of Tang Fong had risen again. My best friend sent a video saying that her bridesmaid dress was really beautiful. Before hanging up the phone, my mom sighed. Vivian, Mom is really happy that you found her unhappiness. Your grandmother's health has been getting worse in the past 2 years. Her last wish is to see you get married. Finally, Julian said, sister-in-law. Just go along with William tonight recently. Don't have a Cold War. Why did he want to have a Cold War with me? I was so tired that I fell onto the sofa. The overwhelming exhaustion swept over me until I became a meme. So tired that I couldn't even shed tears at 2 o'clock in the morning. William pushed the door open and came in. The room was dark. He paused for a moment and then turned to enter the study. Just like many married men I got to know later, I'd like to stay in the car after war. And in the bathroom where there wasn't around. He smelled strongly of alcohol and was so coldly distant for no reason. If I were to be so oblivious to the situation and go up to ask him now, he probably wouldn't be in a good mood. Just like what he often did this month. We would quarrel, then have a Cold War. And finally he would disappear as a matter of course. I don't know how long it had passed when William came out of the room. But he still ignored me. As if he was deliberately trying to provoke me to question him and quarrel with him. When he passed by me for the 3rd time, William stopped in front of me. He frowned and said softly, "Why are you sleeping?" Tears fell without warning. His familiar and concerned tone was so hypocritical that it made my heart take. I looked at him and asked, "Then what about you? What were you thinking about tonight?" He sighed. "What else could I be thinking about? I was thinking that I shouldn't have quarreled today. And I should still listen to my wife about the wedding details." William tapped my nose, coaxing me as usual. And he seemed flawless. I avoided his kiss and he wasn't angry. Instead, he gently took my hand and led me back to the room. I looked at his familiar back and felt the warmth of his palm. I couldn't figure out how who was so good before had become like this. We had clearly survived the most difficult day. And neither of us gave up. And memories were too heave. And looking back on them made my heart take. When I was in college, I was accused of plagiarism, criticized by everyone and cyberbullied. I was so self-doubting that I became depressed. At that time, William, who was just a high school classmate of mine, flew halfway across the country to support me without hesitation. And he was even physically attacked by some radical medicines. After starting our business, he accompanied the client and worked for 30 consecutive hours without complaint. But as soon as I gave him a hard time with a few words, he immediately dropped the deal. Tim has worn away the edges and corners of the young man. And it has also made me tactful and cowardly. I'm worried about the instability of the company. I've greedily imagined a stable life countless times. I'm reluctant to give up the carefully arranged wedding. And I don't want my grandmother to have any regrets. I have so many reasons. But in the end, I know that the deepest treason is that I can't let go of him. And I can't let go of the who trusted him in the 10-year memories. The beautiful and wonderful me. What on earth seemed to be I waiting for? Was I waiting for him to turn back? Or for myself to give up completely? In the quiet night, I gently broke free from William's arms that were holding me. "William, will we still get married?" His voice was laced with drowsiness. "What nonsense are you talking about? Of course we will. We promise to be together for a lifetime. But it's not fair to me if you marry while having someone else in your heart." The air seemed to stand still. I thought William was considering my words. Suddenly, the person behind me pressed me firmly into his embrace, grabbed the back of my neck and kissed me. Despite my struggles, the kiss, which started out fierce, gradually turned into a soothing one. He only let me go when I was out of strength and almost suffocating. William buried his face in my high, and the warm breath he exhaled made my neck. "Why do you think so? Who's been spreading nonsense to you?" William wasn't stupid. He knew that I had sensed something. But he believed that he hadn't actually cheated. And he had been careful when dealing with Olivia in front of others. So he thought it was just that I had heard some gossip. After all, in the past few years, since he cheated success and fame, there had been no shortage of rumors about him, although all the previous ones were false. "Is it that girl in the company? She's just my employee." Seeing that I didn't speak, he was extremely candid. "What do you want me to do? Shall I fire her directly?" I closed my eyes. This was the first time in 10 years that we were facing an issue related to betrayal. Holding back a slight pang of sadness, I said, "It's so annoying. I don't want to deal with her." "Okay. You should get a new secretary." His attitude seemed indifferent, as if he would agree to whatever request I made. I didn't know what else to ask. I felt powerless and my efforts were in vain. "Do you love me?" I used to be so certain. But now I wasn't sure anymore. But I wanted to ask him in person. If he said he didn't love me, then of course I do. "I love you very much," William promised me seriously. "Vivian, You're the woman I love the most in this world. I turned around and looked into his deep eyes. It was as if I was looking at the clean and determined boy I knew when he was 20. He wasn't lying. An uncontrollable sense of relief welled up in my heart. For the first time, I took the initiative to hug him back, putting all my hopes on this. William, let's not quarrel anymore. Stay by my side before the wedding and accompany me properly. Give him a chance and give her 10 years together a chance. As long as he doesn't leave before the wedding and stays with me, then I'll be satisfied. Even with a score of 90 out of 100. The man's warm breath landed on my ear. Okay. I promise you. I won't leave. With 44 days left until the wedding, Olivia left her job and William hired a male secretary. Julian sent me a message congratulating me. Finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. On the 39th day, William and I made up. The anxiety and embarrassment disappear, and we stopped arguing about the wedding. On the 35th day, I tried on the wedding dress guy, and we decided to go to Ireland for our honeymoon. On the 32nd day, I deleted the new message with a mocking ellipsis from an unknown number. 13 days ago. It was this number that made me uncover a hidden set of things. On the 31st day, William went to Luna's product watch and bought a necklace. And the assistant I originally arranged was sent back by him. Luna was a famous jewelry designer. She designed a necklace named Beloved. A necklace suitable for a wedding. It was very beautiful. Even before William proposed to me, I had decided that I would wear this necklace on my wedding day. When I got home, a familiar and exquisitely packaged gift box appeared in front of me. I happily hugged William. Thank you. The atmosphere was great. He said he had prepared dinner, and we were going to spend our last Valentine's Day together. I was so busy that I had forgotten that it was Valentine's Day. Why is it the last one? It doesn't sound nice. Because next time Vivian will be my wife. I laughed at his glib tongue and then happily opened the box. But then I froze. William hugged me affectionately from behind. What's wrong? I moved my slightly stiff fingers. I remember sending me the photo and the name. This isn't the one really. Then it should have been bought by someone else. I got you a similar one instead. Seeing his casual attitude, I was a bit anxious. How could that be? It's a set of wedding jewelry. Not many people would want it recently. And I gave a high budget. My assistant should have told you. William released his hold on me. It's designed by the same perso. And the style is similar. That's good enough. Isn't it? I was stunned, unable to tell whether he was talking about the necklace or about me. The next second he smiled and coaxed me. I'm sorry, Vivian. But that one was really bought by someone else. I can't just snatch it from them. Can I? By the way, do you like bags? Hermes has a new collection out recently. You can choose any one you like. Okay. I looked at him somewhat strangely. Since when did you know so much about bags? His expression remained unchanged. And he nodded with a smile. I'm going to be a husband soon. So of course I need to learn how to please my wife. I see. Although I didn't get the necklace I wanted, I still sent a message. Thanks to Luna in the middle of the meal. William said to wait for a moment, as he had a surprise for me. As the magnificent fireworks outside the window filled the sky, my mood was gradually improving. My phone died and Luna replied to me. Thank you and Mr. William for your support. I hope Miss Vivian will like both necklaces. Both Maciel ran down my spine and I almost immediately thought of the possibility. But William knew exactly how much I was looking forward to the beloved necklace. At the same time, a Weibo recommendation popped up. You gave me a city full of fireworks. and I ignore the worldly opinions and go crazy with you. Just this, once her Weibo was updated that same afternoon. It's so hard to choose between the two. Why can't I have both? The photo showed the beloved necklace and the one I received tonight. The fireworks outside the window hadn't completely faded yet. And the top comment was from a user who had registered less than half a year AG and was using a couple avatar. I remembered that I had once jokingly asked Willia if he wanted to do something together, and he said, "What age are we? Deal be so childish. The new Hermes bag has been delivered to your place. Consider it my compensation." Olivia replied with a sure emoji. The netizens' follow-up comments came one after another. Holy cow. The CEO and his little lover. They even set off fireworks in the city center. How much of a fine will they have to pay? The person above doesn't understand. The big mansion that the CEO bought for Olivia is in the city center. Olivia can see the most beautiful view from home. I looked out the window. The magnificent scene was partially blocked by the big trees and tall buildings. Another medicine, Olivia, did you spend Valentine's Day with him? Not yet. He's so busy he can only spare some time to have a video call with me. Mess screenshot obscured the man's face. But it was clearly William, who had just been having dinner with me. But he promised that he'll come and accompany me. After dealing with that certain someone, the fans understood immediately. Oh, it's that difficult church woman who's pestering him again, right? So disgusting. She knows he has a girlfriend, but still acts like a mistress, relying on her family fortune. I sincerely hope that the third will goes bankrupt soon. Countless vicious comments poured in, and some even wished for my death. The illusory beauty was shattered, and my anchor burned away all my rationality, leaving me in a sorry state. He won't go to you. Before I realized it, I had already sent that message. Medicines who didn't know the truth mocked me, saying that I was a delusional fan having a meltdown. Olivia, who is in the know, keenly sensed who I was. She sent me a private message. I originally felt sorry for Yo and wanted William to spend some time with you too. But now I've changed my mind. When the fireworks finally ended, William came back. He was in a good mood. So do you like this gift? Wei set them off in the city center. The view isn't great. Oh, the corners of his mouth flattening. And he thought I was being unappreciates. Why didn't you come out just now? Were you on the phone with someone? William cut a piece of beef and asked unexpectedly sharply. Do I have to be under your whack all the time and report everything to you? I just want to hear the truth. Then I just want a little trust from you. This confrontation completely dispelled the initially romantic atmosphere. My phone rang and William answered without any attempt to hide it from me. I couldn't hear the content clearly, but I could vaguely hear a girl sobbing. William's brows furrowed deeper and deeper. After hanging up the phone, he picked up his coat. There's something wrong at the company. I'm going to check it out. I sneered. I thought Olivia was crying and you were going to comfort her. He paused in his steps as he was leaving. I'm not deaf, William. William turned around with a look of great helplessness, and impatience was evident between his brows. Olivia fell and got hurt at home. I just want to take her to the hospital. I didn't tell you because I was worried you'd misunderstand. See, this is exactly what I expected you to reek. Like ye can call 120. Inform her parents and call the property management. At most you can send your assistant with your personality and status. Since when have you been so kind-hearted? What's more, it was on Valentine's Day night, during the last month before the wedding, when he promised now to leave me with things said to this extent. The atmosphere became deadlocked. William moved and opened the door. His voice was colder than the wintry night. Look at how terrifying you are now. So cold, aggressive, and completely lacking in compassion. I looked at his back, which allowed no room for refusal. If you insist on going, we'll cancel our wedding. Olivia has been working under me for half a year. I will take care of her no matter what. The clock struck 12. The countdown stopped at the 30th day. William, I decided to give up on you. Having reached my curb position, no one around me dares to speak to me in a raised voice anymore. And I haven't felt this kind of humiliation for a long time. Until today, or perhaps even earlier, when I knew he was involved with Olivi, but still gave him a chance. I foolishly chose to bring humiliation upon myself. My thoughts were interrupted by the ringtone of an unknown number. But it was clear that the other party didn't want to talk to me. William. Actually, I didn't fall. You don't need to come over. It was Olivia. Why did you lie through the 2 phone calls? Another voice with a hint of electronic sound was William's. Hugo, back and stay with her. Don't come today and don't come in the future either. I'll reside tomorrow and never appear in front of you again. That way I can avoid those people in the compan calling me a mistress who's destroying your family. Who dares to scold you? Make a list, and I asked the HR department to fire them tomorrow. William's flippant attitude towards the employees kept hitting my nerves. He actually didn't care about the employees' livelihood or the company's development just to please someone. Olivia, however, was pleased and said in a coquette tone, "Then if you don't go back, aren't you afraid she'll be angry?" Both of them seemed rather pleased at the moment. What's gotten into you today? Didn't you promise to accompany me for a month? I bet that little fox is more than happy. That your fault for only focusing on accompany your wife. Recently, you've fired M. And you've completely ignored me these past few days. William coaxed her gently. You little grumpy thing. You clearly want to be a boss yourself. Isn't the 30 million neon and dictate? I compensated you with an F. Besides, when did I ever ignore you? Didn't we have a video call every day? I originally just wanted to accompany her one last time tonight. Even if you didn't call, I was going to come and be with you tomorrow. I just didn't expect that Vivian has been so spoiled by M. That she's become cold-hearted and disappointing. Ha ha ha. Then you're not allowed to go back before the wedding. You'll only belong to me. Okay. I won't go back. I'll only belong to you, Olivia said shyly. I have a gift for you tonight too. All right. Remember to buy a box of Derek's when you come upstairs. The cold and solemn one pierced through my heart. When the blade seemed to fall, I heard William give a low and husky me. I hung up his cowl, and Olivia couldn't hide her complacency in front of me. I originally advised him to accompany you tonight too. But you deliberately provoked me. Now you can see the difference between me and you, right? But don't be sad. When I'm done with him, I'll return your husband to you. She proudly showed off. People in the industry have been talking about you, so exaggerate it. I thought you were something special. But I managed to win him over in just half a year. Anyway, William is a pretty good lover. At first he was so stern, but as soon as I cried he became so docile. He had others do my work for me. When I spilled coffee on him, he actually comforted me. When I refused to confirm our relationship with him, he felt so guilty that the gift he gave me piled up in my house. Actually, sister, you should thank me for training the straight mouthful of a husband who doesn't even know about bags. Olivia kept talking about how good William was to her while constantly provoking me. She looked down on me and advised Vivian as a woman. And telling me this out of pity for you. We women shouldn't marry a husband who betrays us. Are you really afraid that I'll forgive William? I interrupted her calmly. Olivia paused for a moment. and then sneered, "Destaff Neely Vivian. I thought one unlike you who are a bit older would be willing to grovel at the feet of a man. We independent women would never give up a whole forest for just one licking dog. Is that so, independent woman? Then I'm going to send your entire speech to William. What do you think? How dare you?" Olivia immediately lost her composure. She was furious and kept asking, "How could you record it? How can you be so shameless? Investigated me, haven't you? You knew I valued this relationship. And he thought that even if I found out about you, I'd be too afraid to tell Hi. Because I didn't want to break up with William. Ye thought you had me under control. I didn't. You didn't really send the recording to him, did you? But you were also afraid that I would really marry William quietly. So you couldn't help but come and act like a clown in front of me." Olivia was completely enraged and shouted hysterically, "I didn't. I'm asking you if you really recorded it." Listening to her rapid breathing, Olivia, I called her name. "Say that you're a shameless wretch. A crazy person with a mind full of health. Don't even think about. Repeat it." Olivia felt an indescribable sense of intimidation for my simple words. As if she would regret it if she didn't do as I said. After a few seconds of silence, she gritted her teeth and said, "I'm a shameless wretch. The crazy person with a mind full of filth. I didn't tell you to stop." So then came the sound of the woman cursing herself to gritted teeth from the phone. "You keep saying you don't care. But you're afraid that your image will crumble in front of William. Aren't you? You're uneasy because you expected William to break up with me, rather than just playing this game of a last month with yo. Until today, right? Maybe in your eyes, Olivia, being surrounded by a man makes you an independent woman, and snatching their love makes you feel satisfied. But I'm different. I'm a businesswoman. Love makes me happy and betrayal makes me sad. It's all human nature. Human nature isn't valuable. And I don't want to make a losing deal. Unfortunately, you've provoked me. Here's some bad news. I have the ability to pay for human nature. And even more unfortunately, Miss Olivia doesn't. So even though you've been plotting secretly for half a year, you're still afraid of just this one sentence." Looking at the leftovers on the table, I inexplicably let out a laugh. "But there's also some good news. Congratulations. You've achieved your goal." After saying that, I silently waited for what Olivia would say in return. After a long while, she finally spoke. "Can you please not send a recording to William?" Guess after a night of rain, I went back to the company as usual. When I turned on my phone, William had sent me some messages. "She's in a pretty serious condition. So that's why I didn't come back last night. Don't be angry. I have a clear conscience. I just hope to have a kind wife. I decided to go on a business trip temporarily. If you can't figure things out, we'd better not contact each other for now." His originally extremely bad attitude suddenly turned gentle at 5 o'clock in the morning. "I know you were just saying angry words. I promise you, I'll come back before the wedding. And I'll never leave you after we get married. Vivian, I love you." This sudden display of love was dirty and disgusting. I looked at the photo of the holding hands that Olivia sent at the same time and didn't reply. Presumably since I didn't send the recording to William. She became bold again. But not too much. She quickly retracted the message. The assistant stood by and reported. The private detective found out that they're on a plane to Ireland. According to the estimates of the Public Relations Department, the Legal Department and various market departments, the risk avoidance plan for canceling the wedding will be finalized in the fastest within a week. Also, the special team for the merger of TX and has started working. Olivia messed up several projects during her tenure. and William fired quite a few employees without reason in the past 6 months. After the acquisition is completed, we plan to hold the two of them accountable. Two of the people fired yesterday were key figures in this merger. The merger time has been shortened from 1.5 months to 1 month. It was both a coincidence and ridiculous. 1 month. It was also the so-called last month. If William hadn't left with the two sides competing, the outcome was still uncertain. Or perhaps if he hadn't sacrificed everything for her, like King Yu of Shu did for Baosi, he might not have lost so miserably when he came back. Unfortunately, he destroyed everything with his own hands. People have to pay for their actions. Originally, I didn't plan to completely destroy William. The two companies were like children raised separately by a divorced couple. It wasn't. Until I heard with my own ears that he casually fired employees. Just because of one word from Olivia. That I knew William no longer had the qualification to continue as the leader of the company. Vivian. The new company has recently been suppressed by a certain force. And our partners are all demanding to terminate the contracts. We can't reach an agreement at all. I stopped twirling the pen in my hand, looked at Henry's information on the computer, and then nodded. I'll go and negotiate this myself. Henry was a tough nut to crack at our current position. Everyone wears a false mask and appears virtuous and amiable. But he's unruly and arrogant. If he says he looks down on you, he really does. He's like a husk that doesn't understand the rules of the adult world, and just rushes around recklessly. What's more, he has a powerful background and real abilities. And unfortunately, I really can't deal with him. Perhaps he's true to his nature. But I only deal with people who follow the rules. However, William was very eager to get to know Hai, and quickly established a partnership with him. After the company's 3 formal invitations were rejected by Henry, I suppressed my anger and dialed the unfamiliar number. Actually, at first I thought this number belonged to Julian. It wasn't until later that I gradually felt something was wrong and sent someone to investigate. Hello. The man's deep, magnetic and lazy voice came to the phone and into my ears. I put on my practiced professional demeanor. Henry, I'm sorry to bother you. I'm the person in charge of TX and technology. I was wondering if you have time to have a detailed discussion about canceling the cooperation. There was a moment of silence on the other side. And he said casually, who are you? Henry and Vivian. Oh, he seemed to suddenly understand Vivian. Yes. It's me. The person in charge of TX and technology. Yes. Yes, that's me. Hearing that his tone was a bit friendlier and he even seemed to laugh twice, I had a hunch that there was hope. No way. Snap. The phone was hung up. After being strung along by Henry for several consecutive days, but still not being able to have a proper conversation, I directly went to his house to confront him. The man, lastly, leaned against the seat of a red Ferrari with a handsome and ruffian face, wearing a cynical smile. You want to talk? Then get in the car. Just as I was about to raise my hand to refuse, he immediately lowered his head and was about to drive away. It was only after I fastened my seatbelt that I belatedly reflected on what I was actually doing. Henry, where are you going? He put on the sunglasses hanging on top of his head and smiled enigmatically. TSK. I don't know for now. But I can tell you that original. I was going downstairs to take out the trash. The next second, the strong sense of acceleration instantly scattered all my thoughts. It was early summer and the car was speeding on an empty road. The scenery around was beautiful. I kept bringing up the topic of cooperation, but Henry just kept joking around. My patience was almost completely worn out, and finally I lost the mood to continue. Henry glanced at me and said unhappily, "How dare you be angry?" I was greatly shocked. You're practically reaching into my pocket to take my moan. And I'm not allowed to be angry. I forced a smile. Henry, you're kidding. I don't know what TXon did to offend you. There's no need for a lose-lose situation. Is there? Are you doing this for? TX in his tone was ambiguous. I think you're just a fool. You're still thinking about him even in this situation. I looked out the window. If I don't think about the company, who would be willing to be a fool in front of you? I heard that women are made of water. It seems there's really a lot of water in your head. Yeah. It's the water used to irrigate you. You fool, can't you live without him? I don't know. But if you dare to mess with it, you'll definitely not have a good life. I really don't understand. I thought you were very shrewd. But you even dared to cheat me. I retracted my gaze and turned to look at him. Just because I'm not cooperating with Hanner doesn't mean I'm not competing with him for years ago. There was a project. Everyone, including those above, tacitly agreed that it was for Henry. William also advised me not to. It's not about favoritism. His strength, ability, and financial resources were all there. And no one could come up with a better plan to compete with him. But I quietly did something big and caught him off guard. He's been targeting me like this. Could it be that he held a grudge against me since then? When Henry saw that I didn't speak, his tone became urgent. Are you still thinking about him now? He not only avoided the topi, but was also aggressive. I finally exploded. Yes. I'm thinking about it. My whole mind is full of it. What can you do to me? But after shouting, I gradually came to my senses and remembered my life creed. Don't quarrel with the person holding the steering wheel. I turned my head and, as expected, saw Henry's cold and menacing gaze, exuding an air being difficult to miswift. He stared fixedly at the road ahead, and his voice was hoarse, as if he was talking to himself. Damn it, you won't listen to reason, will you? I don't mind helping you clear your head. I regretted it. Henry. I let out a scream and my heart rate instantly reached its peak. I desperately reached out to grab the steering wheel. The Henry suddenly swerved. The car still quickly crashed into the wooden fence by the roadside, and rushed towards the rice paddy. And what might have been just a second, the car body flew over a small slope. Splash, mutter. Water splashed everywhere, covering the sports car in my face. The man beside me laughed heartily, not caring about his image at all. How is it, Vivian, now? Can't you think of anything in your head? To be honest, in terms of the degree of fright, it couldn't even compare to half of a ride on a pirate ship. But in that moment, all I could think about was a car accident and death. I trembled with my hands, angrily picked up the soap documents and threw them in Henry's face. Hey, dope. Angry. Are you crazy? Henry was covered in mud, having lost his previous lazy and carefree demeanor. Instead, he seemed a bit guilty. He mumbled softly. Who told you to say your head was full of that man? I just couldn't stand it. Do you know what that jerk William did? I was completely confused. What does this have to do with William? How can it have nothing to do with him? Ye never bothered to have any contact with me before now. As soon as I took action against his company, you came running just now. You were still arguing back. You dare to say you don't care, even if William cheated. I can't just watch TX and lose money. I have shares in it too. Besides, I just decided to take it over when I found out you were causing trouble. If I don't come to you, who else should I go to? I was both aggrieved and angry. Without waiting for his reply, I directly got out of the car and left. Henry was stunned for several seconds. Hey, wait a minute. Hold on. I stepped into the muddy puddles one by one and walked away, completely ignoring Henry chasing after me. I was calculating in my mind that since he was determined to mess with me, there was no need to waste time with him. Just as I got out of the rice paddy, an old man blocked my way, speaking in a strong dialect. He seemed very aggressive and vagal. I could hear the words "pay for it" in his speech. Today was really embarrassing and I didn't want to get into an argument. I just wanted to leave as soon as possible. But after pressing the power button on my phone twice, I found that it didn't respond. I glared at Henry resentfully. He shrugged innocently. "Your phone is a waterproof in Indo. Helen downstairs to take out the trash." How could I have brought my phone with me? I was so angry that my head was in AA. I reached up and touched the necklace around my neck, and then realized that I had been to bus these past days to take it off. "Uncle, can I give you this necklace as compensation?" That the old man babbled. "Oh." And Henry kindly explained for me in a timely manner. He said he does recognize this. He wants cash. I rummaged through my bag and even handed my wallet to the old man. Unexpectedly, he kept shaking his head. I furrowed my brows and looked at Henry. He said it's not enough. This is a research trice patty worth millions. My eyes went blank that I even forgot that it shouldn't be me who had to pay for it. I directly argued with the old man in the field in the most straightforward way, and my face turned red with anger. 10 minutes later the old man was convinced by me and stopped talking. I let out a long sigh of relief. Great. I felt as if I had vented all the grievances I had accumulated in the past 10 odd days. But Henry's expression changed and he grabbed me and started running. "What are you doing? Let go." I struggled. But he still kept pulling me, and even hooked his long arm around me and pulled me into his embrace. "Didn't you see that the old man is calling for others? In poor and remote place, there are often unreasonable people. Be careful, they'll eat you alive." I turned my head and sure enough, saw many villagers surrounding us. I felt a little guilty in my heart, but still said stubbornly, "At worst, I'll call the police." "What are you going to use to call the police? Do you have telepathy with the police?" My phone was broken. It wasn't until we ran around a corner that Henry stopped for a moment. He shouted towards the back. "Folks, stop chasing. I'll give you the Ferrari in the field." The setting sun in the distance was glowing red. I broke free from Henry's horn and plopped down on a stone by the roadside. I'm not going any further. Even if the King of Heaven comes today, I'm not leaving. The summer breeze brought a touch of coolness. I tilted my head back and exhaled a long breath. Henry also stopped. He bent over with his hands on his knees. I opened my eyes and met his gaze, directly facing his curious scrutiny. His hair tips were damp with sweat gently brushing past his bright eyes. I had to admit that Henry had a very handsome face. His eyelashes were long, his lips were paint, and his features were well defined because of the heat. His face was fair with a hint of red, looking very vulnerable. He didn't look like the Henry that everyone in the business world feared. Instead, he was more like a college beau who hadn't graduated yet, just a few distance away. Henry's Adam's apple bobbed. I furrowed my brows and turned my head away awkwardly. Suddenly I had the illusion that Henry had become more reasonable. He turned around and squatted down. "Come on, I'll carry you." "Where exactly are we going?" "I have a courtyard up ahead. We'll rest there today." "Is it just a coincidence that you have a courtyard here?" I remembered that I bought one on a WHI when I passed by a few years ago. "Is there a problem with that?" The corner of my mouth twitched slightly. It turned out that even rich people don't necessarily understand the world of other rich people. Who would buy a house in a place with no commercial value? I pushed him get up. I'll sit for a while and then walk by myself. But Henry took the opportunity to grab my hand. My legs were still weak, and I lost my balance and fell onto his back. Henry's back was broad and through his clothes. I could feel his back muscles. He exerted a bit of force, and a masculine scent wafted up from my thighs and abdomen. My face couldn't help but turn hot, and I squirmed awkwardly. "Don't move." Henry's voice was slightly hushed. "I want to get home before it gets dark." As the moon began to rise, a warm and tranquil small courtyard came into view with a creak. The wooden door opened. I saw the cucumbers under the wooden frame, and the peach blossoms that were about to bloom. All the noise faded away. I overturned my previous thought. Who wouldn't want to buy a courtyard and live in seclusion in such a place? A gentle drizzle started to fall at night, and the light in the bathroom suddenly dimmed. Alas, I should have known better than to insist on taking a shower first. I thought resentfully. In a panic, I slipped and fell. Henry quickly knocked on the door and explained. "Hey, are you okay? The electrical circuit is Aegean, and it loses power as soon as it rains." I listened quietly and didn't answer. "Hey, did you fall? Say something. If you don't speak, I'm coming in with a bang." The door was smashed open from the outside. Then I saw Henry closing his eye, fumbling to wrap a bath towel around me. He picked me up and placed me back in the quilt in the bedroom. Under the weight of my emotions, I was too weak to respond to Henry's questioning gaze. But he didn't ask anything. "Have a good rest. I'll be outside all the time." Henry left the room and I closed my eye and buried my head in the quilt. In my dream, it was the year I was 20. Facing the plagiarism scandal. One strange face after another was ferocious and distorted. They were overwhelming and omnipresent. They dug up all my accounts and called me a bitch and a classrous dog. They even took screenshots of my parents from those accounts, and said that I had parents, but no proper upbringing and that my whole family would die a bad death. My roommates to rotten fruits onto my bee, and my supervisor both explicitly and implicitly was persuading me to drop out of school. Facing the endless and unjust accusation, and countless passers-by whispering and sneering at me, I finally hid in a rental apartment that cost 399 yuan a month. During those dark and gloomy days, I only remembered that it rained continuously. I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder when I was in a manic state. I couldn't sleep for days and nights when I was depressed. I couldn't even get up and wash up until William appeared. He trusted and supported me without asking for reasons. Like a beam of light, he forcefully illuminated my dark rental apartment. He soothed my grievances and my illness. He diverted the attention of those radical medicine who came to confront me in person. Not long after the official announcement cleared me of all the false accusations. But no one apologized. All over the internet, there were only another group of righteous warriors who were standing up for me. And the group of people who had cursed me were nowhere to be found. My roommates still hated me. And even more so, because I had exposed their stupid and vicious sides. In the years before I became Vivian, I never talked to me. Fortunately, I didn't care anymore. Later, my illness gradually got better, and everyone thought that those days were in the past. But only I knew after that I could no longer stay alone in the darkness. On a rainy day in the morning, I pushed open the door, and there were signs that someone had slept on the sofa. "You're awake, come and have breakfast." I apologized to Henry and explained a few words. He wasn't surprised, nor did he offer any words of comfort. He just asked calmly, "Have you ever heard a saying?" "What?" I was taken aback. Kind people feel guilty even when they hurt. Was I considered kind? No one had called me kind for a long time. Not long ago, someone I thought was close to him. Also thought I was cold-hearted. I avoided his direct gaze. It was like a person who had worn armor for too long. When suddenly someone saw that the flesh inside was pink instead of black, they would feel awkward and ashamed. His tone changed and he became carefree again. But I really didn't expect that people in the industry say that Vivian is a tigress who never forgives a fault. Now it seems that's not true. Here we go again. I gracefully put down my chopsticks and said to him sincerely, "Henry, I'm very grateful for your care. But since we can't reach an agreement on the cooperation, I won't bother you any longer today." Henry stood up suddenly. "My car is gone. I can't dark to be back today." "It doesn't matter. I remember there's a highway in Liaoa, and there are many passing vehicles. Your wallet was lost yesterday, and your phone is broken. How are you going to pay?" I expressionlessly bypassed Henry, who was blocking my way, and walked towards the door. I believe there are still many kind-hearted people in this world. "No, Henry shouted eagerly. I decided not to withdraw my investment from TX. And other cooperations will continue as well. I suddenly stopped in my tracks and turned around. Henry retracted his outstretched hand, and it was obvious that he was feeling triumphant with an expression of "I knew it." I was puzzled. "But you weren't like this before." He sat down with a reserved look and nodded. "Yes. But my beloved car is still in the hands of those bandits. It's a globally limited edition this morning. The old man said that if I plant the rice seedlings back, he'll return the car to me. If you're willing to stay and help me, I'll promise you that I won't target TX anymore. What do you say?" Ye never imagined that a female CEO worth hundreds of millions, a glamorous urban woman who deals with millions of yad in business, every minute is now racking her brains over a single rice seedling. The rice sevillans need to be selected according to their height, thickness and size, and the distance between planting should be appropriate. "Young lady, come up and take a rest." The ant and the rice paddy, without any worry about her precious experimental field, just kept urging me to take a break. I made no progress in my work, but I listened to all of the ant's stories about love and hatred. And I'm not tired yet. "Oh, all right." Then her eyes lit up. "These few seedlings were planted poorly. Auntie will pull them out." She was so quick that I didn't even have time to stop her. I was speechless and suspected that this person was sent by Henry to play tricks on me. Theft. I turned my head and Henry raised his eyebrows, smiling cynically. He was wearing a loose old man's shirt, and the lines of his body couldn't be hidden under the thin fabric. His arms crossed in front of his chest were thicker than my thighs. Henry will never forget Vivian's great kindness. He had no shame. "Come on." I closed my eyes and rolled my eyes in my heart. I ignored him. A faint scent of soap reached my nose, and my sense of smell reacted faster than my memory. "Oh, why didn't it smell this good when I used it last night?" "What?" I suddenly opened my eye, and Henry's handsome face was magnified several times in front of me. His fingertips were slightly cool, but they felt very hot on my face. "What are you doing?" He looked very innocent. I was just wiping the sweat off. It was too close. So close that I could see his long eyelashes, the small mole on his nose, his crimson lips. Further down there was his bobbing Adam's apple and his ears that quickly turned red. No, no, no. As if he realized what he was doing, Henry quickly and nervously backed away, coughing and waving his hands to explain, "It's not what you think. You don't get the wrong idea. TSKOL. In the end he left in a half. But as he was walking he turned back, looking very aggrieved, and threw the towel back into my arms. "Wipe it yourself." He looked just like a wrong little wife. I stared blankly and couldn't help but laugh out loud. Who would have thought that the unruly Henry couldn't stand being teased like this? Vivian. Henry has stopped putting pressure on TX. And the acquisition progress of TX. And is more than halfway through. Also, Olivia is going to have a wedding with William in Ireland. And William agreed. 2 days ago Henry returned my repaired phone to me. I hung up the phone with my assistant. And looked at the picture on my phone of Olivia and William in their wedding attire. With smiles at the corners of their eyes. I heard them gently responding to each other. I do. I stood there in a daze. My thoughts drifting away. Having a wedding in Ireland. Just like the beloved necklace. It was something I had once desired the most. A curse is more romantic than a blessing. In a country where divorce is not allowed. I once wished to be cursed to love each other eternally. When I mentioned it before, William was surprised by my strange idea. But he promised seriously, and he even attached more importance to it than I did. He said he really liked the meaning behind I. And this eternal love. He finally compensated someone else with it. A false wedding vows turned into lies. Deceiving themselves and others. Their relationship won't last long. I came back to my sense. And Henry leaned over from the sand commented. I smiled faintly. That's not necessarily true for William to take such a big risk before the wedding. They might be truly in love. Come on, it's because one is a scumbag. One is stupid and they're both despicable. Why are you looking at me? Is there something wrong with what I said? I'm saying that instead of being unhappy about that cheating man. You might as well look at what's right in front of you. Henry's voice was a bit low. Right in front of me. What is there to look at? His eyes wandered. Right in front of you. It's just the peach blossoms. I mean, I'm talking about the peach blossom tray. Looked. The peach blossoms are in bloom this year. Hearing this, I looked up. The moonlight was pouring down. And the tree was full of blossoms. I don't know why. Maybe it was all because of Henry's awkwardness that made my heart skip a beat. All of a sudden, to hide my embarrassment, I picked up the tea beside M. And drank it all in one gulp. Ah, it's so hot. Why did you drink it so quickly? The light was a bit dim. And Henry frowned as he looked at the burn in my mouth. I didn't know it was that hot water. Still being stubborn. Open your mouth a bit wider. I tried my best to raise my head and let Henry hold my chin. He used his 2 longest fingers to pinch the ice cup. And gently press it against my tongue. Then to prevent it from being too cold. He thoughtfully lifted it up as the ice cube melted. I swallowed with difficulty. Tears couldn't help welling up at the corners of my eyes. And he casually wiped away the water at the corner of my mouth with his thumb. I couldn't help digging at the hem of his cloth. And looked at him with my eyes. Asking if it was still not okay. Henry glanced at me with a somewhat somber look and said, almost done. His thumb caressed my gums and the soft flesh. He asked, held out here. Does it hurt, TR? I shook my head with tears in my eye. And my breathing became more and more difficult. I need to apply the medicine. I have to take a closer look. I nodded, not noticing the hoarseness in his voice. Still with his thumb. He applied the cold medicine to my tongue. And his warm breath blew on my face. The moment Henry's hand moved closer, I almost fled in a hurry. After a while, Henry knocked on the door. I got the car back. We'll go to the hospital tomorrow morning to have a look. I curled up in the quilt and angrily chose to ignore him. William did as he said. And didn't contact me again. Until the second night after Henry and I returned to the urban area. He suddenly called me many times. But I didn't answer. However, during the day, he sent me a video of Hi, passionately kissing Olivia in a bustling and flashy place. There were also some extremely vulgar and chaotic photos taken in the hotel. The MDS of Baby I Love You made me feel physically nauseous. But I didn't have time to deal with him, because I was about to go back to my grandmother's house. Her condition suddenly worsened and was very serious. I just didn't expect to meet Olivia and William at the airport. They were holding hands and standing very close to each other. Why did they come back? I originally wanted to avoid them, but I met William's gaze as he suddenly turned around. In an instant, his expression changed drastically, and he quickly shook off Olivia's hand as if he had been electrocuted. At the same time, Olivia also saw him, and her eyes immediately filled with hatred. William quickly walked closer and explained nervously. I and Olivia just happened to meet. I just helped her study herself a moment ago. I smiled and nodded, looking as if I completely believed his words. I was nothing like the Vivian who was concerned about Olivia before he left. This realization made William slightly stunned and at a loss. He regarded this feeling as being annoyed with M, and immediately lost his good temper. You're overthinking again. Vivian, have some water. To male voices sounded simultaneously. Everyone present had a somewhat strange expression when Henry suddenly called me Devon. I was also taken aback for a moment, but I quickly adapted. I received a call from the hospital while discussing cooperation with Henry, and then he insisted on accompanying me back. William's expression became very ugly. He forced a smile and put his arm around my waist, saying, "Since when have you and my fiancé become so close? Henry, where are you two going together?" My expression remained unchanged, but Olivia looked as if she was about to burst with anger. Me and Vivian. Henry's attitude was frivolous, clearly not taking William seriously. We don't have any special relationship. We just happened to meet. Hey, why do you have such an expression? William, do you think it's incredible and don't believe it? His TM was full of mockery. When William could no longer hold his temper, I smiled and gently slapped William's hand and then subtly distanced myself from him. Henry and I really just met by chance. It's all about work. What about you? Didn't you say you could only come back before the wedding? Have you finished your work there? Seeing my gentle attitude and my explanation that there was nothing between Henry and me, William's expressions often a bet. He put on a pitiful look and pulled me closer, whispering, "Not yet. It will be completely over before the wedding. You haven't sent me any messages in the past half month, and I've missed you so much." I smiled as I listened to his nonsense, and pretended not to see the hickey on his neck. It's so disgusting. Wife, did you hear me? What? I came back to my senses. I said. I came back temporarily because someone below told me there are people trying to deal with TXN. My heart tipped a beat, but I pretended to be innocent and said, "What? Who told you? Could it be false information? May have a few trustworthy people under me, but this is a very important matter, and they want to have a face-to-face talk. Do you know who it is?" I carefully tried to figure out if William was testing me for such a big matter. I don't know either. He was disappointed and sad. Come on, you don't even know how to keep an eye out for me. But I suspect it's Henry who did it. Wife, don't get too close to him. I don't like him. The boarding announcement sounded and I immediately changed my gentle and obedient demeanor. Don't think too much. Henry and I have a working relationship. Besides, didn't you always complain that I didn't get along well with him? And that I didn't know the current situation? I avoided William's hand that was reaching out to pull me. Okay. Let's not talk about it. Henry and I are leaving now. I walked towards Henry in the distance. He tilted his head and squillium from top to bottom, then swaggered and followed behind me. I knew that if I left like this, when William returned to the company and met those people, There would be a tough battle waiting for me. But compared to my grandmother's situation, these things were never options to be considered. However, I didn't expect that William and Olivia would also buy tickets and follow us. Henry, change your seat. I want to sit next to my feeling key. William emphasized the word feeling chambly. Sorry. I'm following the airport rules and won't change. I glanced at Henry. Him talking about following the rules was just nonsense. William gritted his teeth and refused to leave. And Olivia kept pulling at the hem of his clouds. As she passed by, she angrily bumped into me. The plane was about to take off. And I suddenly felt uneasy. Ah, my rein is missing. After Olivia let out a scream. She gave me a malicious look. She looked so sinister as if I had stolen her ring. Miss Vivian, that ring of mine is worth tens of millions. I wonder if you've seen it. I sneered in my heart and said, What do you think? I stole your ring. Olivia put on a pitiful and frightened look, acting like a scheming woman. I didn't mean that the ring was still there before getting on the plane. But now it's gone. I know that Miss Vivian has always disliked me. And there are many ways to get back at me. But that ring is really important. Please return it to me. The passengers on the plane started to get anxious and didn't want the takeoff to be delayed. Also being regarded as a suspect and misled by Olivia's words. They all believed that I had stolen the ring. A man couldn't help but step forward and said you looked decent. But I didn't expect you to do such a thing. He shouted. Everyone, keep your bags safe. Does a thief on this flight? I ignored the city ad and instead looked at Olivia with a serious expression. Do you believe that I can see you for sland? Based on what you said just now. I'm Miss Vivian. You don't need to scare me like this. Others don't know that I have such an expensive ring. She looked up with a hint of viciousness in her eyes. But you know it, Miss Vivian. I didn't know she had deliberately sent me a private message to provoke me with that expensive ring. It was given to me by someone very important. In the future I might only be able to think of that person by looking at this ring. So it means a great deal to me. Please, Miss Vivian, return it to me. Hey. So it's something from a dead person. How unlucky. Henry interjected quietly. I coughed and William's face also turned very ugly. Vivian returned the ring to Olivia. After listening to Olivia's so-called heartfelt words, he couldn't sit still anymore. Are you crazy? I said. I didn't take it. Vivian, if you want a ring, I can buy one for you now. I'm asking you to return it to her. He firmly believed in Olivia's words. If this gets to the point of calling the police, it will be embarrassing for everyone. I know you misunderstand my relationship with he, and want to get back at her. I'll explain this to you later. Now please return the thing to Olivia. William spoke in a low voice as if he was thinking of me. Olivia sobbed. Actually, whether you stole it or not. Miss Vivian, if you just let me search you there won't be any problem. Why do you have to make things so difficult for me? Hey ha! A body search. Be careful. Or I'll see you for violating my personal rights. William, I'm sorry. She cowered behind William and the man's protective instincts flared out. Vivian, you've really disappointed me. If you won't let her search you, then I your fiank will search you myself. He reached out to pull out my clothes. But his hand was grabbed from behind by Henry. The atmosphere became extremely tense. Vivian, I thought you would have figured things out these past few days. I even thought the ring has been found. As soon as Olivia shouted that the ring was missing, the flight attendants had all bent down and started searching busily. A young girl, who didn't stay at the front to watch the drama, now squeezed over with a happy expression. Miss, your ring has been found. It was just under your seat. The atmosphere suddenly became extremely awkward. Olivia was stiff and William was at a loss. Only I reached out and thanked her 15 minutes ago. I instinctively thought that Olivia had bumped into me to steal something for me. And then I accidentally found that ring. It was a very low-level trick. So I threw it back to her. I was certain that it wouldn't delay the takeoff. And I also wanted to see what kind of act she was going to put on. Vivian, I'm sorry. William yanked Olivia over and scolded her apologize. Olivia was unwilling to yield. She clearly remembered throwing the ring into my bag. I won't. This definitely isn't my ring. She must have contacted that flight attendant to fake it. William, you have to believe me. I can call the police to prove my innocence. No, we can't call the police. I interrupted. Calling the police would definitely delay a plane's takeoff. And my grandmother didn't have that much time to wait for me. Seeing that I didn't want to call the police, Olivia obviously got more excited. Look, William. She's scared. I'm not lying. William, you promise not to let me be wronged, Olivia. William interrupted her quickly, afraid that she would say more. He hesitated and looked at me. Vivian, there might be a misunderstanding here. If you didn't steal it, then calling the police would also clear your name. I looked at William coldly, filled with nothing but disappointment. William, do you know that this is a flight to my grandmother's place? She's in a very dangerous situation now. William was taken aback and his expression turned troubled. Olivia started crying regardless. But your grandmother was always. She was always safe. In the end. It won't delay things for too long, Vivian. My heart felt as if it had been slashed by a knife. William had forgotten how close my grandmother had been to him, providing both money and effort during the years when we were starting our business. He had completely forgotten about it. Someday he would treat me the same way. At his core he was a selfish and ungrateful person, holding back the pain in my heart. I said, my grandmother is waiting for me. If I'm late, I'll lose her moo. A man who had retreated to the corn, as soon as the ring was found, stood up. Can you guys stop arguing? I'm usually a cart person. I've already called the police. He seemed to understand the situation and stopped talking. But it was clear that he had unintentionally made things worse. William let out a sigh of relief. That's great, Vivian. Now we can go back to see your grandmother sooner. I'll go with you. This was the first time I truly panicked after getting on the plane. Let's go. A warm and strong hand took mine and led me away. William reached out to pull me, but he had to attend to the crying Olivia behind him. Henry, why are you taking my Yankee? Hoya turned around with a fierce look and sneered sarcastically. Your Fane Key. You mean the person you've been protecting all along? Isn't she behind you? If we go to the police station, we won't be able to leave for a while. Let's leave first. I knew that too. But there's no other way. The next available flight is tonight. I couldn't bear to think about what would happen if I missed seeing my grandmother because of all these things. I followed Henry in a day, and in the end he picked me up in his arms. Henry held me tightly and I didn't know where he was taking me, but his warm embrace made me unable to hold back my tears any longer, and I buried myself in it to cry. I heard a soothing voice. Just cry. I'm here holding you. Our Vivian has been through a lot. It's okay. I'll help you. It wasn't until we reached the top floor that I realized where we were. What are we doing here? I'm going to see if I can transfer to another flight. Henry maintained his posture and his gaze was incredibly gentle. Don't move. Look up. Me huge. Rumbling sound came from above, and the strong wind ruffled my hair. Just in case I contacted a helicopter on the plane and apply for a flight route. So am I somewhat useful? There was a hint of pride on his face. How could he be just somewhat useful? Young Master Henry from a wealthy family, and the president of the Henry Group, who is good at planning and decision-making. At this moment he was more like a puppy wagging its tail, just hoping to be praised. Let's go. Let's go back to see your grandmother. That night the doctor said that my grandmother's condition had become more serious. If she couldn't wake up within a day, then that was the most terrifying night for me. I stayed by her bedside all night. Fortunately, there really was a miracle. However, after my grandmother woke up, her memory seemed to be much worse. She even mistook Henry for William. She took our hands. You should have a great-grandchild for me soon after you get married. Okay, Vivian. My face turned bright red. But Henry had the leisure to tease me. He imitated my grandmother. Okay, Vivian. I slapped his grinning face without mercy. He pouted and said, So when exactly are we going to have a child? There were 13 days left until the original wedding date. My grandmother's condition stabilized, and I decided to go back and take care of the company's affairs first. I didn't expect to see William at home. Only a small lamp was on in the living room, and I couldn't see his expression clearly. I bent down to change my shoes and asked calmly, Why are you back? Your grandmother was transferred to another hospital. Why didn't you tell me? I was taken aback for a moment, and then continued to hang out my clothes. William S. suddenly swept the things on the table aside in a fit of rage. I'm asking you, where were you and Henry these past 2 days? And what were you doing? Why didn't you answer my calls? I turned around and stared at him calmly. I told you. Seeing his confused, Louis explained kindly, 5 months ag. I wanted to transfer my grandmother to a private hospital. You said you met a difficult client and couldn't get away. So you asked me to make the decision myself. In reality, thou Olivia had offended a shareholder, and he was busy supporting her 3 months ago. During that period my grandmother really wanted to see you. Unfortunately you were on a business trip abroad at that time. And in reality he was abroad, busy celebrating an unforgettable birthday for Olivia. William probably remembered these things too. His angry expression turned into one of guilt. And what I thought of was he had gone to great lengths for her, without considering the consequences. Spent a fortune on and had hurt me without a second thought. And a month and a half ag. I sent you a compressed file of the wedding arrangements, which also included my grandmother's address. But it was obvious that the file had expired, and he had never opened it. Vivian, I bet it doesn't matter, William. I smiled and walked past him. I'm really tired today. Can we just rest? He followed me into the bedroom, and I stopped him again. I smiled distantly. I know you've been busy recently and so have I for our better rest. Let's sleep in separate rooms before the wedding. William looked a bit dazed. But I don't want to sleep in a separate room. Because of his lack of understanding. My expression turned cold. William hung his head as if he couldn't bear it. Vivian, I've been waiting for you at home these past few days. But you were with Henry. Now you want to sleep in a separate room. What am I supposed to think? Why you used to hate him? Why have you changed now? William. Don't be so suspicious. Look at how aggressive you are. You were on a business trip. And Henry helped me solve the company's problem. And took me to see my grandmother. Do you want me to be an ungrateful person? William. You should know that it was you who created the opportunity that pushed me towards him with your own hands. Time seemed to stand still, and after a long while he asked me, Vivian, we will still get married, right? The same words, but the person asking had changed. I smiled. What are you thinking about? But I didn't give him my answer. He wanted. Okay. Didn't you say that your work can only be finished before the wedding? Dull and rest. You can go back and get busy tomorrow. Vivian, if you don't want me to go. I won't go. I said it as if joking. Why wouldn't let I want you to go? It's just worked after all. Not like unstopping you from having an affair. William's face turned pale and he hugged me tightly in a panic. No, Vivian, I didn't have an affair. I was really working. He spoke too loudly, as if trying to reassure himself. I nodded and asked him to leave again, looking at his dejected back. I suddenly called out to him, meeting his lonely eyes. I said gently, if you're not too busy, could you check our wedding arrangements again? There was a glimmer of light in William's eyes like cheers shining brightly. I deliberately got close to Henry in front of William with the intention of buying time. William didn't get to meet those informants, and soothing him was to make him spend his time on meaningless things, such as the 1-month agreement or our wedding. William went back to Olivia, but it seemed like he was just fulfilling some kind of task. In fact, he spent his time arranging our wedding. 9 days before the wedding, the decorative flowers were replaced with the ones I like, but had been rejected due to practical reasons. Unfortunately, the weather wasn't on our side, and a thunderstorm burned them all down. 7 days before the wedding, William made a romantic photo album of our love memories by himself. I perfunctorily told him to spend his time on more meaningful things. 5 days before the wedding, Luna's beloved necklace was back in my hands, and I turned around and donated it to a charity foundation. 3 days before the wedding, I prepared the contract. All that was left was William's insignificant signature, while he waited dejectedly at the rehearsal site for a wedding that was destined to have no bride. 1 day before the wedding, I took the initiative to send William a message for the first time. The wedding is cancelled. Let's break up. On that day, William called me many times and sent a lot of messages. But I just pretended now to see them. Perhaps he could tell. So on WeChat, his messages were all there. Each were carefully considered, hiding a cautious attempt to please. Among them were also messages from Julian's sister-in-law. I know I have no right to persuade you. And I know that William is really a jerk. But I also know that he realizes his mistake and he truly loves you. I also bear some responsibility for what William has become at that time. For my own sake, I tricked William into revealing his secret in front of you as his brother. I feel sorry for him. So I can't bear to see him continue to torture himself. He has already cut off contact with Olivia. I hope you can give him another chance. We had the rehearsal from morning till night yesterday. William waited until he had a hypoglycemic attack. His face turned pale, but he still refused to leave. He was afraid that if you came, you wouldn't be able to find him. He said he regretted missing so many opportunities and that he couldn't leave. We are now at that bar where it all began. William has drunk a lot and refuses to leave. He keeps calling your name. He said you didn't come and that you don't want to marry him anymore. Vivian, for the sake of the fact that I have indirectal helped you come and take William home. I answered the phone and Julian sounded surprised and delighted. Sister-in-law, are you on your way? William is right next to me. You. William snatched the phone because he had drunk too much. He was a bit dazed and choked up Vivian bits. Too late. You don't need to come and pick me up. I can go home by myself. Of course I won't go. I interrupted as babbling. Don't call again. It's really annoying. Before William could reply, I directly hung up the phone. I eventually went to the bar. As I passed by one of the prior rooms, I suddenly stopped. There were only 2 people inside. William had his head down, and Olivia was crouching in front of him. Olivia, I told you that we shouldn't contact each other after yesterday. William said. Olivia skillfully put on a vulnerable act. William, you know I don't want anything from you. I just want to be with you. Half-icked. William sneered harshly. Don't you think it's ridiculous? Get out or I can take back everything I gave you. Why Vivian has treated you like tea. And only I truly love you. Ah. William firmly grabbed Olivia's neck. If you dare to mention Vivian a guy, or let her know about us, I'll make you wish you were dead. A near-death experience made Olivia see William's ruthlessness. Clearly you're so smart. Why don't you dare to guess that she already knows about us? Ye still delusionally think she'll marry you. They were locked in a fierce confrontation, looking so sinister and terrifying that no one would have thought that a month ago. They were a pair of lovers. Reluctantly saying goodbye, Henry's call came in and I instinctively answered it. Vivian, I feel so terrible. I suddenly came back to my senses and didn't stay any longer. After hanging up William's call, I received Henry's distress call. He was dealing with business but unexpectedly fell into a trap in a day. He actually called me. Henry opened the door. It's me. Suddenly the door opened and I was pulled inside by a strong hand. The scorching heat blew against my neck, and I was forced into a small corner, unable to struggle. My hands were held captive, and I was forced to hear my nom being called out hoarsely and seductively again and again. Henry, you don't kiss me. I'll take you to the hospital. Vivian. I'm so hot. Please help em. The man's kiss moved up along my neck and stopped just at the corner of my mouth. Vivian, are you in my dream again? Can you be a little gentler with the width this time tonight? I'm also Vivian's puppy. Please show me some mercy, sister. I was greatly shocked. I couldn't believe what he was saying. I turned my head to avoid his lips. Come to your senses. This isn't a dream. He seemed to regain his senses for a moment. Not a dream. Then is this a dream come true? The desire in his eyes went completely wild. He forcefully bit my lips and rubbed them hard. Vivian, you're so blind. You only like that blind goo. Can't you see that I like yo? And you always avoid me. He grabbed my chin and forced me to look at him. You torture me every night, making me a mess. I just want to be your despicable lover. But you won't even give me that chance. You're so heartless, sister. I was so stunned that I forgot to struggle. Henry seemed to have a bit of a more sarcastic side. I had been at odds with Hai, and yet he had fallen for me. I had a feeling that if I slapped him now, he would say it felt great with red eyes. But I've been so obedient. I'll listen to you, sister. So please give me a reward just with your foot. Okay, bang. There was suddenly a knock on the door. Vivian, Vivian, are you? And there it was, William. I panicked and tried to leave. But I was held tightly by Henry and couldn't move. Henry, this isn't right. I don't want this. I have to admit that there was a bit of duplicity in my words. But I really couldn't bear the thought of William hearing what was going on outside. The phone was also ringing. I pushed him against the wall and tried to leave. He leaned against the wall and sat down weakly, looking full of disappointment. Just go. I'll be okay by myself. I won't let him find out. The person outside became more and more anxious. Vivian, Vivian, come out. How could you betray me? I stopped in my tracks and answered the phone. I'm at home, you can leave. There were many flaws in what I said. So William was silent for a long time. Vivian, come home with me. Okay. William. I'm not stupid and neither are you. I was wrong, but I've only ever wanted to marry you. You know what? I knew everything before the night. I asked you if you could stay. If you still have some sense left. You should go back to the company now. I'm more difficult to deal with than you think. I know all of that. He seemed to have aged a lot. But Vivian, tomorrow is our wedding. Get some rest and delete. The footsteps outside faded out, and a pair of hands wrapped around me from behind. I looked down. You promised just your fret. I slept until late in the morning. I heard that William didn't listen to the advic and forced his friends to attend the wedding. Ever since the day I canceled the wedding, the news had been known to everyone. But he was still pretending not to know. Oh, and there was another person. Olivia, who barged into the wedding venue in a wedding dress. She made a baked fuss and told William's relatives and friends that she was pregnant and wanted to marry William. Naturally, I helped her by spreading the story of their immoral and romantic relationships, so that everyone knew about it. William's father was so angry that he was directly admitted to the hospital. In order to save face, he forced William to marry the pregnant Olivia. Great. He finally didn't have to feel guilty towards he, and could be with her forever. Olivia was also happy. Marrying William meant that she would have endless wealth in the future. But she didn't know that a poor life abroad was waiting for her. Because I would never let William stay in the country. May wise president would eliminate all potential threats. I knew he didn't want to. He threw a tantrum at home and kept trying to use his connections to see me. Unfortunately, he no longer had the right to be free. But he could still start from scratch abroad. It would just be a bit tougher. As long as he behaved and stayed abroad. I wouldn't deliberately suppress him. After all, I'm a kind president. Later I heard about them again at my wedding with Henry. An employee who had been fired by William. Started his own company and told the story resentfully. Olivia couldn't stand the tough life. And had an affair with a newly rich man. As a result, the man's wife shot her and blinded her. And William ended up homeless and didn't have the money to save her. But there's one thing. William would rather be stabbed by Olivia than give her the money. It seems like he's saving money. After almost 10 years. He spent all his money. And he still wants to come back to the country. I wonder who is in the country. That he can't let go of so much. I smiled and said I don't know either.